Why don't diets and meal plans work for weight loss? It's very simple, honestly. They don't work because they're only good for as long as you feel like following them. And so what happens when you go on vacation, or you go out to eat with friends, or it's date night, or you going out to a cookout, right? You'd be looking at the cheeseburgers like, oh, those look good, right? Oh, that's not on my plan, right? So you're in bad shape. And so instead, what we want to do is build lasting healthy habits, actually learning how to eat healthy and not being beholden and stuck to this singular plan. The common mistake that I see people make is that they confuse themselves for being serious by picking the most intense plan, the most rigid plan that they can't keep up for the long term. If you're tired of falling into that trap, picking a really intense plan and you do it for 3 weeks or 5 weeks or maybe even 8, 12 weeks, but you can't keep it up, and so you lose weight, you gain it back, then let's talk about how to lose weight in a sustainable way and keep it off for good by developing healthy eating habits. All right, so this is the exact process that I walk through with each of my clients to help them build healthy eating habits. So you can do this practice yourself. Step number 1, you're gonna jot down what a typical day looks like for you. So breakfast, lunch, dinner, any snacks, what does a typical day look like? And be honest with yourself. Don't say, hey, well, 3 weeks ago I ate a chicken breast, so that's my typical lunch. No, it's probably not. So be honest with yourself. And so jot down all the foods that you're usually having, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, get all that jotted down. Then from there, jot down beverages. How much water are you drinking every day? Just have a guesstimate. And then same thing with any coffee. Are you having black coffee, any cream, sugar, any sodas, any juices? Jot all of those things down. Now, once you have a full picture of what a typical day looks like, try to identify some patterns, right? Is it snacks that are getting you? You just go to work and they got amazing snacks, so you lose all self-control? Or do you always crave dessert desperately after dinner? What are those things that are standing out to you? And then that brings us to the next piece that is critical. So from here, you're going to jot down a list of ideas. Try to come up with a list of at least 10 ideas for small improvements that you can make. Okay, so these are things like drinking more water, very simply, having a serving of vegetables each day, or having more fruit, or portion control. Whatever it is, come up with a list of things that you think can be improved. And then here's the next step. From this list, pick one thing to start on. Pick one thing, ideally the easiest thing, the thing that causes the least amount of resistance to get started, okay? And so once you've picked this thing, you've identified it, this is what you're gonna stick with for the next month, the next 30 days, and you're gonna track it. So your goal should be to hit it at least 80% of the time. Now this is gonna depend on what the habit is. If it's a daily habit, then obviously you wanna hit about 6 out of 7 days, ideally 7 out of 7 days. Or you might say, hey, I'm gonna cook at home, I'm gonna cook dinner 5 nights out of the week. So in which case you wanna hit at least 4 out of those 5 nights. Now, at the conclusion of this month, you wanna look back and see how you did, right? What percentage did you actually hit? And so if you hit at least 80%, you surpass that, then go back to your list, carry that existing habit, that first habit, carry that forward to month 2, but then go back to your list, pick the next thing and add that on top. So we're stacking habits on top of one another. And so that's the process, the approach that we're gonna take. If you don't hit 80%, carry that same habit forward until you hit it at least 80% of the time. And if you're finding you're struggling, you can't get it, then maybe swap it out for something different from your list. I know it might seem like it takes a lot of time, but in reality, it's much faster than going back and forth through this cycle of stopping, starting, stopping, starting. And in reality, when you look up, it could be 12 months from now and you have 12 new healthy eating habits, healthy habits around nutrition. And so it could be drinking more water, you're having more vegetables, more fruit, portion control, you got a grocery shopping routine, you're exhibiting self-control and delayed gratification, you're making smarter swaps and alternatives when you go out to restaurants. And so you've developed all these skill sets and all of these habits, but there wasn't a major stress or strain at one singular point, right? Because you spread it out over the course of a year. But here's the thing, these things will carry forward with you for many years to come because they're well cemented over time. We're stacking habits, we're taking the stairs as opposed to the elevator, just one day to the next, making this drastic change. And so the final point that I want to share with you, one thing I often say is that beating yourself up is a waste of time, which It is. And so along this journey, if you slip up, don't beat yourself up to the point of being now inconsistent and not taking action. But if you experience frustration, you're frustrated with yourself, let that lead to more action. And if life gets hectic, here's what I want you to do. Let's say you're 5 habits in. You got 5 consecutive months, you're crushing it, you built 5 good habits, and then life gets crazy. Things come up, you get sick, and work gets busy. These things come up, right? Life happens. Then make a pivot, condense your habits back down. Even if you have to go back to the first habit, condense down so that you can stay consistent. And the key thing to remember with nutrition and exercise alike is that just because for a time maybe you need to dial things back and turn down the intensity, that's not a knock against you, and it doesn't mean it's not still worth doing, right? Just because I'm not doing 5 habits and I'm now back to 1, that doesn't mean the 1 is now worthless. So I would highly encourage you to go through this process, and I have another video that you're really going to enjoy and get some great value from. I'm going to have it linked right here. It is called The Truth About Weight Loss That the Pros Know. So that's an additional 4 do's and 4 don'ts that are key to losing weight and keeping it off for good. So I will see you over there. Until next time, peace.